with E3 Diagnostics. I'm here with Suzanne Younker, and we're here to tell you all about Tele-Audiology.
Yes, hi. Thanks, Greg. I'm Dr. Suzanne Younker. I am an audiologist with Your Hearing Network. I am Director of Telehealth for Your Hearing Network, and it's a pleasure to work with you all today.
Excellent. So let's get started. So what exactly is Tele-Audiology? Tele-Audiology is the utilization of telemedicine to provide audiological services and may include the full scope of audiological practice. So what we're doing here is we're taking telemedicine and bringing it to a specific application, and that is audiology. Okay. So just a couple of housekeeping rules for our Empower 2021 virtual conference. Thank you for joining us for this session to begin with. And if you have any questions for the speaker regarding this presentation, please use the Q&A icon in the left navigation bar, and the questions will be emailed to the presenters. Okay. So first, let's talk about remote audiology or teleaudiology. What we have, what you see on the screen now, is what's called the RAS. That's a remote audiology system. The specific one is manufactured by InterAcoustics, and it comes in a couple of different configurations. One's more of a kind of a permanent fix. You'll see you have on the left-hand side, you have two monitors, a video otoscope, a PC-based audiometer, a webcam. It allows the interaction between the patient and provider. The one on the other side is a little more remote, giving you more flexibility and utility between exam rooms, also giving you more space-saving capabilities. So like I do next slide, let's give you a brief video of how exactly this type of solution would typically work in a clinical environment.
Welcome to InterAcoustics, a worldwide leading provider of hearing healthcare solutions. Today, we're introducing a revolutionary solution for hearing care professionals that can significantly change the way you're currently doing business. We call it the RAS, Remote Audiology System. Let's introduce you to the RAS system. The InterAcoustics Remote Audiology System is a new approach to telehealth for hearing. It enables hearing professionals to perform a multitude of auditory examinations and hearing fitting tasks at multiple remote locations without leaving the primary office of business. The InterAcoustics RAS Mini is comprised of an audiometer called the Equinox, a video otoscope, computers with multiple monitors, an active room noise monitor, microphones, and video camera, all configured into a sleek, professional, and compact cabinet turnkey. The deluxe version combines all of this with an easy-to-use real ear measurement system, perfect for the fitting clinic. Either system can be purchased with the Tymp tympanometry device at any time. Let's illustrate how the system works. The examiner is located in the main office, while a trained technician and the scheduled patient are located at the satellite location. Prior to the appointment, an email invitation to the remote examiner is made. The technician will initiate the video connection to the home office using a commercially available internet service such as Zoom or Skype, both of which are HIPAA-compliant services. You may adjust the camera view using the included remote control. The technician meets the patient and explains what's about to transpire and guides them to the RAS testing station. The technician then situates the patient in front of the RAS, and via the RAS room speaker, the patient is able to communicate with and see the examiner at the main office. The The examiner communicates directly to the patient via a talk-forward microphone and conference camera. Depending on the examiner's and technician's protocol, one of them will explain the test procedure. The technician typically performs video otoscopy as the first step. The patient remains engaged by having the full view of the video image on the test screen. The examiner explains the pure tone test process. The technician provides them with the patient response switch and places on their headset. The technician repositions the audiometric test screen so the patient cannot view the audiometric test in progress. The technician mutes the speaker system and the examiner begins the pure tone air conduction audiometric test. The next phase is to conduct speech audiometry. At this time, the examiner explains the test process and activates the digital speech recordings from the PC-based audiometer. Once this test is complete, the technician removes the test headset. Based on the outcome of the air conduction test results, the technician may be directed by the examiner to place a bone conduction transducer on the patient to complete this portion of the test. Within a matter of minutes, the test is completed. The technician then repositions the audiometer monitor so that the examiner can counsel the patient on his or her test results. The technician removes the test headset and turns on the speaker system. A variety of counseling overlays are available to help educate the patient on the extent of their hearing loss and determine if the patient is a good candidate for amplification. If the patient is a viable hearing aid candidate, the examiner may choose to proceed with real ear measurements or select and place the appropriate hearing aids on the patient's ears to demonstrate the benefits of amplification. Alternatively, the hearing professional may elect to schedule the patient for a personal visit at that location or the primary office for the final consultation and fitting. The benefits of RAS. Extend your geographical reach. Ease of access for patients, reduced wait times, and less travel. Increased billable hours for practice providers. Reduced travel expense for practice and impact on staff. Huge savings in build-out expense. Increased patient touches for top providers. Better managed staffing. And increased number of hearing aid evaluations and sales. Call your regional representative or InterAcoustics for a personalized return on investment. 1-800-947-6334. The RAS system from InterAcoustics, a revolutionary approach to Tele-Audiology.
All right. Well, hopefully that gave you just a glimpse into what we can offer from a remote testing concept. InterAcoustics is one of many manufacturers that has equipment that allows us to provide these functions, remote Tele-Audiology. It's quite amazing. So here on this slide here, you'll see a typical setup for a remote audiology testing workstation, so to speak. This is not specific to just the InterAcoustics and the RAS product. This can be used with any PC-based audiometric test equipment. As you can see, you have an assistant that's normally in front of a computer and has direct access to the provider who they're communicating with. The client is usually facing a remote monitor of some type with a webcam so they can speak and talk with the audiologist or hearing healthcare provider. In some locations, you could even have a place for a third party, the significant other, so they can be involved in this process. It's quite amazing, and there's lots of benefits to it, as they were stating before, and my colleague Suzanne will get into it later on in this presentation. Outmost is the extended geographical reach that we're able to provide here. People that or locations that are underserved, now we can go into those locations, reduce expense, and extend the services we're providing. Okay. Go back one. So, in the world of teleaudiology, what equipment works best for audiometry, tympanometry, middle ear analysis, otoacoustic emissions, real ear measurement, auditory evoked potentials, and V&G? All of this, with the technology we have today, can be done remotely. It's quite amazing. So what I'm going to do right now is just kind of review some of the instrumentation that can be used for each of these applications. And remember, how this works is that you have to have PC-based equipment, that's essential. They have to have internet connections and provided at both the test facility and where the provider is actually testing from. So it's key to have, computers, PC-based instrumentation, webcam, and a good solid internet connection to make all this work. But with today's technology, we are very fortunate that this is readily accessible in almost every area across the United States, if not the world. Okay. So one of the instruments, we'll start off with audiometry, that can be used in this application, Tele-Audiology, is the InterAcoustics Affinity Compact. This is brand new instrument that combines a lot of applications to one small compact device. It's the InterAcoustics Affinity Compact, so we can not have as a PC-based audiometer. You can also add real ear measurement / visual speech mapping to it, and even a hearing aid test box. So literally, you can perform the primary functions needed in a hearing healthcare facility with this one compact device. It's business friendly in its modularity, so you can. Maybe we just want to perform audiometry, or we want audiometry and real ear measurement. We can mix and match and kind of build our system to meet our needs. It's compact in design, pleasing to the eye, and it sets a stage for a professional and modern-looking clinic, even if you're not there. This is if your patient comes and they go to your remote location where we're going to perform teleaudiology. This it really brings it together. It hits that wow factor, like, oh wow, we have the latest and greatest, and I'm being seen with technology that is on the forefront of the hearing healthcare profession. Okay. There's other audiometers, and Suzanne will get into this later on as she continues with the presentation. And one is the GSI MTAS. That's Grayson Stadler. The MTAS is automated audiometry, and it's patient-driven. So it's a really cool concept. It leads to generating referrals and having people tested in remote areas that we can't really get to, or have providers at, while reducing expenses tremendously. So it's patient-driven. When I say patient-driven, meaning that the technician would kind of facilitate the process, put the headphones on, make sure the patient's situated, give them general instructions, and then the patient proceeds, often by following the instructions on the screen of a touch tablet, touch computer, and going through either a screening, an air-only screening, a full diagnostic, air, bone, and speech, and what have it, with those informations without limited contact with anyone except the technician. on hand to help facilitate the test. Again, that's the placement of the earphones and getting the patient comfortable with the task in hand. So Suzanne will go into more of that, but it's another avenue in which we're able to see growth in areas that are underserved, and this allows the patient to get an initial evaluation before they might be referred to a diagnostic audiologist or hearing healthcare professional for further testing. Next. So another thing that is commonly done in audiometric evaluations is tympanometry. And one of the devices that can be used remotely with remote teleaudiology is the InterAcoustics Titan. Wow, this is a great device. Not only can you do diagnostic tympanometry, so you would have that technician, that facilitator, hook the patient up and place a probe in the ear, select the ear tip, place a probe in the ear, and then run through a diagnostic test battery if needed, meaning doing Tymps, IPSI, contra, reflexes, and the operator, the audiologist, the healthcare provider, can control it the whole time via their PC. It's a quite amazing device, and the flexibility of this device is incredible. You can do that as well, but if there need to be a quick screen, you can use it as an independent device and do that, and then transfer the results to your provider or your audiologist. It also includes other modalities. When I say other modalities, not only does it do tympanometry, it has the option to do otoacoustic emissions, both distortion project and transient. It also can do ABR screening with its BRIS module. Next. So here's a screenshot. So if you had it connected to a PC, you would be controlling it remotely via Zoom or via Skype. And you would have controls in here to start and stop the test and select different protocols. And these are what you would look like. This is what it would look like to the provider and to the patient and the technician or facilitator that is on site. So you get this great detailed information as if you were right there performing performing the test yourself face to face. Next. So this is just a screenshot of the modules together. You can see down there in the bottom right-hand corner, that's tympanometry. Above it would be otoacoustic emissions, and then you have screening, AABR, or the BRIS. So that's automated auditory response potentials. So it's a very powerful device, and it's a hybrid device, meaning that you can use it as a standalone, but you can control it via PC. And then in this remote world we're living in, this new world of teleaudiology, gives you a lot of applications in one simple to use application. Okay, so when it comes to evoked potentials, any PC-based device, which all evoked potentials are, can be used remotely. For instance, one of the most popular evoked potential systems on the market today is the InterAcoustics Eclipse Pro. This is an excellent PC-based device that gives you the flexibility to remote in and test infants in those remote areas that are underserved. Again, where it's just given us the ability in a cost-effective way to serve the underserved. It's amazing what we've been using this technology before remote audiology systems was even a thing. So it's very easy once you have a couple of PCs, internet connections, you have a user-friendly program like Zoom or Skype, the user, the audiologist or technician is able to log on, and then the facilitator where the patient's at has now prepped the patient, is explained to the patient, and now we take control. Meaning when I say we are the facilitator, the end user, the audiologist, and now we're in control of the testing session, but we might be in Malibu on a beach. Okay, so with there's really no limit to the test that we can provide nowadays. So we can do APRs, we can even do ECOGs and VEMPs. Again, it takes a facilitator, the patient, and the remote connection to make this all happen. But as long as you have a couple of PCs and the right equipment, you're able to provide these services to anybody in the world, essentially. Next. Even VNG, video noise diagramography. This, again, with the facilitator to be there to give general instructions to the patient. A person can take control. An audiologist or a licensed specialist can take control of the PC and run a complete test battery. The technician will be, in this case, with this application, will have to be a little more, I guess, schooled or trained, because there are some other tests that need to perform that require a technician or a clinician there, such as positionals and Dix Hall pikes and calorics. But still, the interpretation, the review, and the test sequence can definitely be controlled by that remote hearing healthcare provider. So if you can just see, if we went through audiometry, tympanometry, real ear measurement, otoacoustic emissions, VNG, and evoked potentials, you can really do perform a complete test battery in an audiological examination remotely with the right equipment. And again, as you've seen, I've been giving you examples of all the appropriate equipment to perform these applications. Next.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Greg. That was very informative. So I'll pick it up from here. And again, just piggybacking on what Greg has been talking about, the equipment is very sophisticated. It is all PC based, but I'm going to talk a little more about the actual patient experience. It's definitely, I've been doing telehealth, teleaudiology for 9 years in the way of research and development, all the way through implementation, all the way through being a teleaudiologist. So I can certainly say that the patients really, really do enjoy this modern method because it does meet their needs, and that's the bottom line. It provides convenient, efficient, and quality care. You are still able to maintain that quality care because all of the functionality of the tests are still being completed. Staffing concerns, a lot of times people have satellite offices that maybe are part dark, right? You can't get somebody to cover it 5 days a week. So now if you had teleaudiology, any one of these fabulous pieces of equipment that are PC based, you can still see patients without having a physical person on site. And definitely it does separate you from the competition, right? And patients love the fact that you're innovative and taking advantage of being modern. And it does provide more access to services. That is a big touch point for any laws that are being created or government points of view and support, as they always want to say, are you increasing access to care? And this is definitely a way to expand your footprint and expand your geographical reach, as Greg has mentioned. And concierge care, we can see patients and spend just as much time with them, providing just as many services and touch points all along the way as if you were in the office knee to knee. And definitely it will increase your earning potential. And trust me, the patient's experiences are always a wow. And again, so all you can do, anything that can be PC based can be done remotely. And the test components are very valid. All of the results indicate even retest reliability is there. And everything from testing through hearing aid, fittings, delivery, all the way, even cochlear implant, programming, BAHA, bone anchored hearing aid systems, reprogrammings. I mean, anything like that, all the potential is there. Again, another just sort of additional configurations. It doesn't necessarily have to be stationary in this beautiful cabinet, which I do love, this RAS cabinet, but it can be retrofit to a booth. It could be situated on a mobile cart. These are all real pictures of real clients. This particular client wanted this cart so that they could cart it out of the room when they didn't need it because somebody was there physically. And then on the days that the provider was not physically there, another provider would see them remotely and they would cart it back into the room. And this is another example of a cart and different displays as Greg has also shown you. And there's also tabletop. So it can be very customizable to the space and the needs that you have. And again, it is very, what I like to say, concierge remote care services. You can do your counseling, your programming, and all you need is that one facilitator in the room. Particularly in this time of COVID, this was excellent because you had minimal on-site human interaction, right? One facilitator with patient. And bonus is when you do it this way, the provider does not need to wear a mask. Our patients who are hearing impaired obviously benefit from full facial visual cues, and that has been a real help. So you can see that this is the patient view, how they view that RAS. And then this is the view from the patient side, from the provider side. So typically it takes a laptop, it takes maybe a second monitor, and you are always seeing the patient. When you're working on the working screen, I like to say the working screen, you see the patient always in the top right-hand corner so that you see their facial expressions and so forth and what they're doing. But simple setup for the remote provider. So remember, all the equipment is on the side of the patient, where the patient would be going. And yes, they are going to brick and mortar. All of this equipment, you know, it's not yet quite there to mail to the patient's home. So we're not doing that. So this is assuming patient is still going to a site that has the equipment, but the provider can be anywhere. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the other pieces of equipment that Greg did mention. This BSI AMTAS is something, or any of these tablet-based items, or something that you can do to really maximize the time in your busy offices, okay? It helps a clinician manage more than one patient at a time because the test, such as the AMTAS tablet, is as patient patient, you know, it's patient centered. So the patient is the one driving the test at their own pace. So if you have patients set up to test themselves, essentially, with the assistance of the tablet, and I'll show you more about that, you can then do other things. You can see walk-in patients, you can do cleaning check, or do the lab work in the back while patient is testing themselves. You can do other counseling, maybe checkups or you know, follow-up fittings or something of that term, where you're actually getting double done, right? 2-in-1 services for that one amount of time of view. It's quite simple. Again, waiting room screenings is a perfect opportunity. It's, again, automated, but it's automated at the patient's pace. It's terrific for open house screenings, terrific for nursing home and assisted living facility testing, home care testing. So this is something that is easy to travel with. It definitely can include bone conduction. This is you're putting the bone oscillator on the forehead with a headband configuration and then headphones over. And again, these are noise canceling headphones. So these are the type of headphones that you can be in a quiet room, and because it's noise canceling, it gives that added effect of certainly being in the booth situation. So there are two different types of GSI AMTAS. One is called Flex and one is called Pro. So the Flex is really nice for that screening situation, really capturing the basics of the patient. We do have air, you know, you can do some diagnostics, you can do screenings, you can do masking for air conduction. If you did want something with bone conduction and full diagnostics with speech, that is the AMTAS Pro, has those features. And they are, so it is standalone, but they can add on. So you can add it onto the AudioStar Pro and the Pillow, particularly with the AMTAS Pro. And you can see your dB range. So you have a bigger range with your Pro. And then quality indicators. So just to talk about that, there are inherent quality indicators built into the software. So when the patient is going through the test, of course, they're on their own, but then they have recheck questions like that will come back and check to say, did that patient really answer or respond to that signal or respond to that word in the appropriate manner. So there are these internal checks just to assure the quality of the outcome of the test. And again, it is self-directed. And then of course you can have the report options. So extremely comprehensive, or maybe just you want it as a screener. And again, lots of different options for tablet-based. Amplivox Beep is another form of a tablet-based hearing test system. And a lot of these are used for lead, generating leads. It's still all very innovative, improving your daily workflow, right? Getting more efficient in the same amount of time. And it's fast, it's accurate. And then you manage the results. You can, usually upload through NOAA into, your system or your office management system, or however, your configuration is. All of these are very flexible and can in one way or another give you some results that you can use the data to future. Maybe that patient's not going to pursue today, but they might pursue tomorrow some amplification, treatment. You would have that lead and that information already captured. MedRex, of course, also has a version. There's also tablet-based, and you can do some very sleek displays. Again, can be sort of customized to your office. There's no audiometer hardware required. It is looping the patient. It's looping the patient into this interface. So it is, again, a self-test. It is asking for some basic information. Again, it is calibrated, and it does get the patient information for future lead generation. The nice thing is it's real time. It has Hearing BI, and this is unique to MedRex. So it is a real time website analytics, so that when things go in, like for instance, if you had somebody testing at an assistive living facility, you would have, as the owner, direct information, real-time information on how many so far today. It's 1 o'clock, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. How many screenings did they do today? What were the outcomes? What are the results? What are the hearing tests results look like? So this is all real-time that you can do generated from these tablets. Getting insight, to the performance. Is this kiosk, do I have it in the right spot? Maybe instead of this assisted living facility, I need to move it to a different nursing home, to really capture what you're trying to get. So very flexible, and it has basic CRM functionality, again, just helping to nurture those leads. Mobile testing, if there is a place, I always believe, however you can do it, we need to, again, improve access to hearing healthcare. MedRex also has some configurations that do go in a suitcase. Some is really maybe just for testing. So if it is in that situation, just for testing, but this is something that you would physically bring to a site. If you're going to do some remote, there might be some additional pieces. We'd have a laptop or a video otoscope that you would need to go with it, that sort of thing. In this particular configuration, this is also including real ear. So in this particular one, very uniquely, this is just actually really brand new. I think it's popular now in the European and overseas. Not so sure it is in the States quite yet, but look for it. It's quite exciting because it houses your programmer, it houses your videoscope, it houses real ear, and the bottom of this suitcase is actually a computer that is helping to how your audiometer and everything is connected to it with the module. So many innovations coming out in telehealth. It's remarkable. So let me show you some case study options of how this is being used. This is just one example of a patient, a very busy office, has 2 providers on site, but they actually had a 3rd room and they were getting booked out. I'm saying, for instance, booked out, let's say new patients weren't being seen until 3 weeks later. That's a lot, to ask a new patient to wait 3 weeks to be seen. Sometimes those patients go someplace else, right? That's a chance that they're not going to show up. So in this particular case, we had the remote audiologist working in there. They had a telehealth room, so their equipment was set up, and the remote audiologist would see all of their clean and checks, their fitting follow-ups, maybe their annuals, or just basic programming challenges or counseling, sessions, so that the on-site providers were seeing all the new patients. These pink, beautiful appointments are all the new patients that were being able to be scheduled much sooner because we didn't have a lot of the the troubleshooting sessions, the appointments, sort of quote, clogging the schedule and forcing new patients to be scheduled so far out. So by bringing in those new patients sooner, we're able to generate revenue sooner. And so because 25 to 50% of hearing care providers' daily appointments are spent on non-revenue producing, telehealth allows more time for the on-site provider to see the revenue generating patients. And in this particular case, over a year, we did this study. And so we had $403,000 of revenue generated sooner by on-site providers, while the telehearing care provider, the remote provider, serviced existing patients. And this was over 258 hours of the telehearing, the Tele-Audiology hours. It was really like a couple days a week, a few hours a day, kind of a thing for the course of a year. And so if you equate that, it comes out to 1,500 about, or more generated per telehearing care hour. So that's quite impressive when you're looking at how can I maximize this into my busy office. So we did go through this presentation. We have a lot of information with, equipment choices. This is the modern way. This is something that you can maximize yourself when time is very important, particularly in a managed care arena. There are options for you to utilize so that you are doing what you love best, seeing those new patients, and perhaps having extra services, being cared for. Those patients are being cared for in a more modern sense of a remote provider, or using the tablet-based audiometer where you can screen people ahead of time, or they can self-test and you can utilize your time in another manner. But this is all available not only for hearing, but ABR, OAE, VNG, as Greg has alluded to. So just be aware. I always tell people, audiologists, hearing care providers, anybody, that if you are intending to purchase new equipment, I highly recommend that you purchase PC-based equipment if that fits into your model, because whether you're going to do remote sessions today, I'm sure you'll be doing telehealth tomorrow, and you want to make sure that your equipment is ready to embrace that technology. So I'll end it here. And Greg, I don't know if you have any last minute remarks.
Well, I want to say you did a wonderful job, Suzanne, and you are 100% correct. If you're not doing telehealth or teleaudiology today, I guarantee you will be doing it in the future. So if you're looking to make a new equipment purchase, then that should be part of your thought process. And with that being said, thank you for all your time today. Thank you, Suzanne, for being a great partner. And go Empower 2021.
Yes. And just a reminder, you need to complete the CEU compliance questions located in the left navigation bar to receive your CEU credits. This is required at the end of each session. If the speaker has also made slides available for distributions, they can be found there. We do not have them, but certainly you can email the Empower folks if you would like a copy, and we can certainly get that to you. Again, if you had any questions, please put them in the Q&A icon on the left, and they will be emailed to Greg and I, so we will definitely address your questions. And with that, we hope that you have a wonderful day, and we thank you for your attention.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, recording stopped.